Welcome to this masterclass on how to get clarity for love, the 7 character traits of true love. This is Henry Vargas, and this is the mandatory self-inflating introduction. That's me in the corner. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I got started in this world of clarity and communication since 1996 when my classmates would trade their snacks, their food, and even their lunch money to have me write love letters to their crushes because my love letters generated emotional responses and they were effective. I'm also the author of Love Without Losing: How to Know If Love Is True. But I also know that in the reality, none of that matters because just like me, you are here for you, right? And that's perfectly fine. Human nature dictates that we operate that way. But you're here looking to get clarity for love, and I've got good news for you. Winning in love really is simple. It's not as complicated as you may be thinking. So there's only just 3 secrets to get clear on love. First is that you have to love clarity. The first, you have to love clarity. See, we as humans exist on 3 planes of existence. That's the spirit plane, the soul plane, and the physical plane. You have to get clarity on all 3 of these planes so that you can know who you are at your core. Because if you don't know who you are at your core, how can you expect to find someone who is complementary? So your spirit plane consists of your morals, your standards, and your ethics, which are your belief system, right? It's the core of your character, of who you are, and your spirit grows in love, right? And again, we're going to define clearly what love is at secret number 3. But for now, understand that your spirit plane, you have to get clarity on your standards, morals, and ethics, which again is your belief system, which determine the standards with which you operate, your character, right? Then you've got the soul plane, right? And your soul plane consists of your intellect and your emotion, the results of which drive your behaviors, which ought to be submitted to your spirit or yielded to your spirit, because your spirit defines your core character, your soul, and the balance that you have between your intellect and your emotion is what drives you towards action, whether that action is in favor of your progress or against your progress, depending on the balance. You don't want to lead with your emotions, and you don't want to lead with your intellect. You want to be perfectly balanced so you can have a harmonious and mature soul. And so the third plane of existence is your physical plane, and your physical plane consists of the lifestyle that you want to live, and your lifestyle consists of two main factors, and that is one, your activity level, which is how active you want to live, or how active of a lifestyle you want to live, and the second is the physical level, or your physical standards, which means the standard of living, the financial standards that you want to live for your lifestyle. You want to get clear on all 3 of these planes and each of these parts of each of these planes, so that now that because that's going to create your core identity. That's going to help you get clear on who you are at your core. Once you've got clarity for who you are at your core, then you can know what is a person who can be complementary, or the character that would be complementary to your own character, and that you can complement each other towards progress in life. So it's very important that you understand you have to have clarity on all 3 of these planes of existence. Now, let me ask you, think about the relationships you currently have with your loved ones, or maybe a past relationship you had with a boyfriend or girlfriend. Were you very clear about what you desired and what you expected, what they could expect from you? See, it's very important that you are clear in your communication, not just of what you expect from them, but what they can expect from you, right? So it's very important that you have that clarity. Now, I normally find that there's just 3 main roadblocks to achieving clarity, so that you can get clarity for love and life. And those are lack of self-esteem, lack of creative resources, and a lack of, or a fear of public speaking. And the reason, and it's really interesting because these 3 roadblocks can really be resolved with just one thing, and that is learning how to love yourself, which again, that's secret number 3. I'm going to be sharing with you in just a few minutes. But understand that lack of self-esteem, these are all addressed with loving yourself, because once you learn to love yourself and you see the value in yourself, then your self-esteem starts to increment, right? So you get more self-esteem, you feel better about yourself, which means now you're that feeling better of yourself, that confidence and that self-esteem now drives you to learn more skills and gain more knowledge, so that you can have more resources for to create solutions, right? And so now, because you believe that you can learn and that you believe that you can do more, now you're actually learning more things. And so you're learning more skills, adding more value to your mind, and thus making you more creative. And then the fear of public speaking, well, that goes as you learn to see the value in what you have, right? Because your self-esteem increases and you know that you are loving yourself. And as you continue to grow in your knowledge base so that you can learn new skills and balance and skills, abilities, and knowledge, you now know that you have a value that you can deliver to people to change their lives. And so it's not so much that you lose the fear of speaking, but you begin to value more the delivery of your message so that you can help motivate those people who need to hear your story so they can progress in life. And again, it's very important to understand these three issues can be resolved as a foundation of loving yourself, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And so, secret number two, after you've gotten clarity on your three planes of existence, is you have to get clarity on how to manage your activity. Now, again, I do want to make clear, we've heard oftentimes the phrase time management, but that's a farce. That's a lie, because you cannot manage time, because time is always passing. Time is always changing, right? So it's here now, but it's gone just then. And so we all have 24 hours that we need to distribute in what I call 7 human time zones. Now, these time zones are categories of activities that we as humans need to have, or ought to have, in order to feel fulfilled in our lives, right? And so I'm going to go over them quickly with you here. So the first zone is the sleep zone. Sleep zone is important because how well you rest, right? Rest is the time that we recuperate. It's the time that we recover, right? It's the time that our body resets and is restored. And so sleep is important, but it's not the quantity of sleep, it's the quality of sleep. So if you can get 6 to 8 hours of quality sleep, it's better than sleeping 10, 12 hours of not quality sleep. So, and again, if you can sleep less hours, if you go to sleep at 10 and get up at 4, that's more than enough quality amount of sleep for a whole day. But you set how much time you want to put into your sleep zone. Also keep in mind that the amount of time you put here is what's going to affect the amount of time you have for the other time zones. So obviously, the more sleep zone you have, the less hours you have for your other activities, which we're going to go over. And again, the key thing with sleep zone is it's quality over quantity. Then you've got your physical zone, right? And your physical zone is made up of everything that you're going to do. Notice I said everything and not anything, because you have to do multiple things. So it's made up of everything that you do to intentionally create resistance in your physicality. Because as humans, and even in nature, we're there. You're either progressing and growing, or regressing and decaying or dying. Right? There is no stagnant point. There is no point of stagnation. No midpoint. You plateau. You either progress or you regress. There's no other option. So, in order for that to actually, so there's a law that says, it's called the law of atrophy. Whatever is left, which states that an object left to itself tends to destruction. Right? So you have to put your intentionality. So the decay can either be intentioned decay for a specific result that you desire, like, physical well-being, gaining strength, reducing weight, or whatever it might be. Or you've got the decay of idleness, which is just not doing anything. And so your body's going to atrophy, right? You're going to get weaker just by the passage of time. And so everything that you do to intentionally create resistance in your body to maintain and grow physically, right? It goes in your sleep zone. Then you've got your learn zone. Your learn zone is where you take time to learn, whether to learn new skills, knowledge, and abilities. And so whether that's reading, whether that's watching a video, whether that's going to a seminar, this is all stuff that you go into your learn zone, right? And then again, because you got to understand, the more you learn, the more value you are adding to yourself, which is your knowledge base. And the more value you have in your mind, the more valuable you are to look at yourself and to the community that you're going to serve. Next, you've got your wealth zone. Now, your wealth zone consists of everything that you do to push the needle forward in favor of your wealth, your personal wealth and your family's wealth. Currently, most people have a work zone instead of a wealth zone, because they're trading their time for money. But I'd encourage you to start looking for wealth creation activities that you can do, so you can turn that work zone into a wealth zone, so you can create the financial independence for yourself and your family that you desire. So that's the wealth zone, right? Next, we have practice zone. The practice zone is very important, because the purpose of learning is not to learn, is to master, as Myron Golden says, right? So the purpose of learning is mastery. So you spend time here practicing what you've learned in the learning zone, right? So every day your learning and your practicing go hand in hand, because the point is to progress as quickly as possible and accumulate as much value in the form of knowledge and abilities as possible. And so you do that by learning and then practicing within the same day. And so that's the practice zone. Next, you've got the social zone, which obviously consists of anything that you do with interactivity and interacting socially. We, as human beings, are creatures of social creatures, and we desire and need that social interactivity. Now society would have you believe that it's a huge need. It's not that big of a need. And the good thing is that these time zones aren't mutually exclusive, which means you can actually combine them. And I would encourage you, once you learn to you could master them, to make your circle really focused, so that now that you've got clarity, you can focus your circle of influence to people who have similar goals, and then you can integrate more easily in each other's different time zones. So social zone is anything that you do to interact socially. And then finally, your meal zone, which is obviously anything that has to do with feeding and feeding yourself. So that's cooking, that's buying, that's consuming your food, etc. Right, so these are the seven human time zones, and you have to manage your activities within these time zones, right? So you decide which one you want to focus on, where you want to dedicate the amount of time. Um, I would recommend sleeping 6 hours and then breaking up the other hours. At least you want to make the majority of your focus, I would say. If you're currently working, that's obviously going to be another large part of your time. And then just divvy up the rest of these activities with the time that you have left, and try and be very intentional about doing some wealth creation activities, so that you can turn some of that work zone into wealth zone, so you can have up more time to free up to dedicate to the other zones. So that was secret number two. Now, let me ask you, if it's that simple, I'm sure you're wondering, well, Henry, why do you still lose? Why do I still lose in love, right? Or why don't you have the clarity for love? And that's because you believe the biggest lie. And I'm sure you've tried as hard as you can, as hard as you can, to truly love your partner and make them feel loved. But at the end, you end up getting hurt and feeling alone again, right? You've probably heard people say, love is how you feel, love is a sensation, or the most common, biggest lie is love is an emotion. You may have even heard your time will come. Now you don't even want to try to find love, and you're slightly bitter towards those who you perceive have it. Loving really only needs three things, and that's clarity for conquest, clarity for communication, and clarity for collaboration. But the focus has been wrong. The focus needs to be on the clarity for conquest, and the conquest we're talking about is personal conquest. Again, getting clear on the three planes of existence, and getting clear on your time, on your activity management. Right. Once you get clear on the conquest for yourself, and you know who you are, then it becomes easier to learn how to get clear for communication, and easier to get clear for collaboration. Right. So here's the cure. If you want some help brainstorming the ideas of what I'm about to share with you, I'd be happy to help. Just click the button near this video and join us on the next Clarity for Life challenge. So, secret number three is clarity for love. What is love? Well, I'm getting ready to share with you the 7 character traits of true love. First of all, these are traits that you have to focus on building in yourself towards yourself, right? And so this is why it was important to get secret number one, clarity for your planes of existence, and secret number two, clarity on your activity management. Because now you have a goal, now you have a path, a direction that you want to go, right? And so now that you have somewhere to go, that you have context to which apply these character traits of love, which are going to be towards yourself for the attainment of said goal, right? So, first one is self-control. And self-control means doing what needs to be done when it has to be done with excellence, even if you don't feel like doing it and nobody is watching. Right? I'm gonna say that again. Self-control is doing everything that needs to be done when it needs to be done with excellence, even if you don't feel like doing it and nobody is watching you. But it also means, because it's the other side, the flip side of it also means having the self-control to keep yourself from doing anything that you shouldn't do, that's going to throw you off progress and sabotage your progress in life. So again, I'll say that again. It's doing everything that needs to be done when it needs to be done with excellence, without, even if nobody's watching and you don't feel like it. But it also means not doing anything that's going to throw you off course and sabotage your progress, right? So those are both sides of self-control. Second character trait of love is useful, right? You have usefulness, and useful manifests itself in the sense in with the more you knowledge and skills you acquire, right? So you have a goal now, you have a direction. Well, you ought to understand and know that along the path, then to get where you want to go, that means you're gonna have to gain new skills, gain new knowledge. Because if you knew how to get there already, you'd already be there. So it means having the disposition to constantly learn. It's what I call the apprentice attitude, that understands that, the more you can learn, the more value you add to yourself through gaining skills and knowledge and information or experience, the more useful you are in your progress towards life, and then you can be more useful towards others' lives as well. Third character trait is righteousness, to be righteous. And what does it mean to be righteous? Well, relax, it's not what you think. Righteous just means loving what is right. And you might ask, what is right? Well, what is right is everything that produces, prolongs, and protects life, right? Because at the at its core, love is a passion for life, right? It's to move. It protects and produces and encourages life, right? So righteousness is loving what is right, doing what is right, and celebrating your wins as well as the wins of others. And so it's very important that I make this distinction right here, real quick. It's also not celebrating the problems of other, or the losses of others, i.e., if your competitor comes up when results in some scandal, if you're someone who you deem to be your competition, has some sort of tragedy, you don't want to celebrate those things. You want to be as a human, and as a love for humanity, you want to understand, okay, man, that's terrible that happened to them. I hope they get over it. I hope they get through it. It's still wanting and desiring life and progress for those who are even not, who are your competitors, or even not people who you'd perceive to be, who you'd perceive as right. Right. So it's encouraging life and celebrating life, your wins and those of others. And then the fourth character trait is trustworthy, and a lot of people have trouble with this one because, one, well, being trustworthy just means being a person of your word. It means doing what you say you're going to do and not doing what you say you're not going to do. It means keep making sure your words and your actions align, right? And then it just means being consistent and constant with your word, right? Being a person whose word is their bond. And this is hard for a lot of people because you've heard every lie you've ever told, right? And you've broken your word to yourself countless times, right? So you don't really even believe yourself. You don't really trust yourself. And so you have to, the good thing is, though, you can just simply make a decision. And I encourage you right now, make the decision that, who you were is who you were. You are now someone else. You have made the decision now to become trustworthy for yourself. So now you keep your word to yourself. Now your word is bond to yourself, and you are consistent with what you say and what you do, which means as you become more trustworthy for yourself, that energy is going to start to permeate, and the people around you are going to start to be more trusting towards you, and you'll find that you can be more trusting towards people because you're going to start attracting higher quality people. So now the fifth character trait is positive. And this positivity is absolutely essential because, one, you have to understand that this positivity is having the expectation for the expectation for the favorable results that you desire, right? So you've got this goal now, you've got this vision again, right? You've got clarity on your three planes of existence, you've got clarity on your activity management, and so now you got to be positive. You have to fill yourself with so much positivity. The world and society is bent on destruction, and it's built on filling you with negativity, and we are bombarded with so many negative messages all day that you have to build up a refuge in your mind and in your spirit and your soul and in your physicality, to where you're going to be positive, because you've got so much negativity from the external factors that you have to contradict that, or overpass that with the positivity that you're producing in yourself. You also want to have a positive outlook, right? Now, here's the thing: you want to be big picture positive, right? But detail negative. And so, what that means is you want to be positive in general, but you want to prepare for the worst case, right? So you expect the best result, the most favorable result, but you prepare for the worst, because even if you prepare for the worst, and if you prepare for the worst, and even in the worst situation you're prepared, you can pass it positively because you've prepared. And so you can even have a positive outlook from a seemingly negative circumstance. And so it's important that you have that positive expectation, yet you prepare internally for any negative situations. But what you expect is what you get. So make sure you maintain that positivity. You ought to be your biggest cheerleader, right? And that's going to overflow from, once again, once you develop these character traits in yourself, for yourself, towards yourself, then you can start manifesting them outwards towards other people, and you're going to see a huge transformation in your relationships. So then the sixth character trait is perseverance, and perseverance is very important. And so there's a quote from a mentor of mine that I like to say, whose name is Myron Golden. He says intent. He says disruption follows intention, which is 100% to 100% true. So now that you've made the decision to become trustworthy, let's say, for example, right, there's going to be situations that are going to come up that are going to test that decision, and you have to be resolved in staying and firm in your decision to maintain and become a trustworthy person, and to be a trustworthy person to yourself. So now what's going to happen? So let's say, for example, I like to use this metaphor. Let's say we're going to go on a road trip, right? Let's say we're starting from South Florida and we're going to go all the way up to Washington State, right? That's literally the whole way across the country. So let's say we started our road trip, and whether we're a quarter of the way there, halfway there, or almost there, all of a sudden there's a big boulder in the middle of the road. What do you do? Do you say, oh, okay, well, there's a boulder in the road, let's go back to Florida, we ain't gonna make it to Washington? Probably not, right? I mean, you will probably say, okay, there's a boulder in the road, but let's find an alternate route, right? Let's find the way around it, or let's go, through it or around it. The perseverance is, you're gonna have to pivot in life, but the point being is that you've got the end destination in mind, and so you might need to find alternative routes during the journey, but you don't keep your eye off the destination or the progress that you want to make, because there's going to be problems, right? There's going to be problems when you make the decision. When you set your mind on doing something, there's going to be situations that are going to present themselves to challenge that resolve that you have, to challenge that decision, to see how decided you actually are, how committed you actually are. And so you have to persevere, pivot, find alternate routes to the same destination. And so finally, the seventh one is protective. And this consists again of your spirit, of your soul, and your physicality. You want to be able to have the willingness and the ability to protect life, and particularly your dreams and your visions, your life, but then also the life of others. Because a person who truly cares about humanity and wants to be true love revolutionist is someone who is willing and has the ability to protect the life of innocents as well as their own. And so being protective is important. Again, why? Because external factors are always bombarding you with negativity, trying to destroy your dreams. So you have to put up the shield of protection and the stronghold to around your mindset, around your spirit, around your soul, around your physicality, so that you can progress towards your life. Now, if you apply these seven character traits to the clarity that you've gotten on your planes of existence and the clarity on your activity management, you're going to watch an amazing transformation in your life, and you'll learn to love without losing. So would you like some help with this? Diagnose what's going on and see what's keeping you blocked. See what's keeping you from getting clarity. Remove those blocks out of the way. Build your self-esteem, increase your creativity, and direct your passion to profits. Would you like to set up the environment for true love, success, and fulfillment in your life? Then there's just one slight catch that you need to be aware of, and that is that you have to truly be willing to take action and experience some short-term pain for long-term gain. And if that's you, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I invite you to click the button and join us on the upcoming Clarity for Life Challenge. See you there.